Well, welcome to the first edition of the Crimsafe Endurance Countdown for 2014. I'm Ben Beasley. I'm joined by the four-time Bathurst winner Greg Murphy. And Greg, straight off the bat, we're going to get stuck into one of the teams that's been at Bathurst for seems like forever, in Dick Johnson Racing. When we go to Bathurst, Dick also in the last few years has done something pretty special. So he's brought back one of the old yellow-looking cars from the 1994 victory, and that in itself is pretty cool. But what do you think of their chances up at Bathurst this year? It
is very cool. It's great to see some of the old liveries because, I mean, we love the retro stuff. But yeah, listen, this year, you never know with Dick Johnson Racing. It does have such a great pedigree. They've got some good young drivers in their moment. Scott Pye has been impressing on and off. I suppose DJR is like a few teams this year, just a little bit of inconsistency. But anything's possible. Scott Pye, some of his performances, one that stands out was the Sunday race at Ipswich. Drove superbly all the way up to fourth place there, showed great speed. So it's interesting. I mean, they've got some of the capabilities there that could definitely make them do it. But, you know, as far as their consistency and their outright speed throughout the year, it hasn't quite been there.
So their lineup will be Ash Walsh will join Scott Pye,
yep.
And also David Wall will have a pretty familiar name in Stephen Johnson, who last year actually didn't drive for Dick Johnson Racing, so he's back in the car. And Steve is certainly a guy, they've got a pretty good balanced lineup.
Yep, you know, Steve's got so much experience. He knows Bathurst as good as anybody. He's done these endurance races for many, many years. It's interesting you say that he didn't drive. He drove at Erebus last year, which was really strange. But back in the seat and supporting Dave Wall, who's been, you know, he's come on this year. I really think he has come on. You know, with a bit of a change. He went from being at BJR last year. He's at DJR. He seems quite comfortable there. And then, you know, with Scott Pye, as I said, he's going good. And Ash Walsh has had a pretty solid year in the Dunlop series. So he's had good form, been doing lots of miles. So they've got some pretty good combinations. So it's just a matter of, do they have all the goods, all what they need to really put on the pressure on the top teams to get a result there. And then we'll just have to wait and see. As I say, it comes down to consistency, and I think it's something we'll talk about a lot with the other team, some of the other teams this year too.
Well, let's hear from the guys with inside Dick Johnson Racing what they think their chances are heading into the Pirtek Enduro Cup.
David, new team for you this year. A few ups and downs, including the big incident at Pukekohe.
Yep.
How have you read the first part of the season?
Yeah, as you say, up and down. You know, the New Zealand thing was unfortunate. Those points now would be pretty good. I feel we'd be well inside the top 15 with that, and our mechanical problem we had at Clipsal in the last race on Saturday. Lost a few points here, one lap from home. We stopped. So yeah, there's a couple of things that have been up and down, but generally when we have got it right, we've been, you know, in the top half of the field, and you know, we've had some good finishes, some fifths and sevenths and eighths, and we've had plenty of top tens, and yeah, it'd be good to carry that on into the Enduros. We had a 12th here in the last race at Eastern Creek, the Sydney Motorsport Park yesterday, so hopefully Stevie J in the car, we both fit on in the car well and we get on well, so looking forward to getting into the Enduros for sure.
That's a big part of being with this team, is the heritage of DJR, and obviously Steve's got a lot of experience, but you're also going to be in the 17 Shell Ford. Is that going to be a special thing?
Oh, absolutely. I think if you look at the car, it just makes you feel special to be part of it. You know, it's the retro livery looks amazing. You know, when we turn up to Bathurst, there'll be a lot of hype around the car for sure. But I mean, you know, I always I'm sure everyone puts a fair bit of pressure on themselves anyway to do well. So, I mean, whether it was bright pink like it has been the last few years, or we've got the retro livery, it's you turn up there wanting to do as well as possible, and can't wait to get up there.
You're one of the few teams, maybe the only one, not to do a pre-Enduro test.
Yep.
Does that make it even harder for Stevie J, considering he hasn't been in cars full time?
No, I mean, like every ride day we've had this year, this is our third one at the moment. So if you can give him as many laps around the ride, you know, wherever it is, it's only going to help. You know, he'll get plenty of laps when we get to the meetings. Maybe it's not ideal. Other teams are doing more testing, but you know, we'll do what we can, and I'm sure he'll be fine. He proves that he jumps in anything and he's fast, so you know, he'll be fine. I think Ash Walsh is doing a good job in DVS, obviously, so he'll be fine. Just get on with it when we get to the race meeting and see where we pop out.
Ash, you've had a pretty decent year in development series so far this year. Things have been going quite well. What kind of adjustments have you got to make leading up to the endurance races?
Yeah, obviously it's a completely different style of racing. So obviously I'm going to be in the car a lot longer. So I've got to think about the fitness side of things. Also driving the car of the future is a different style of driving. You know, I jumped in and did 10 laps at QR earlier this year, so it was difficult actually, driving between the two different cars. So I've got a little bit to think about there, and also the seating positions and things like that. So we've got a few things to get right before the race, and obviously going into the pit stops and things like that. So for me, there's quite a few changes, but I'll see what I can work out.
So big development in the development series. Obviously, a 250k race at Bathurst. How's that going to affect the approach to the main game that weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a shock to see us go into the long endurance race before, so obviously there's a bit to think about there in terms of hydration and energy levels and things like that for the Sunday. You did the 250 and then back up and do around 450 on Sunday. So, it's going to change the approach a little bit. None of us have ever done it before, so we're going to, just see what happens, I guess. But I'm excited because I've not done too many laps around Bathurst, and, it's one of those tracks where the more you do, the better you get. So I'm quietly, confident and excited that it's going to be a positive thing.
Well, that's the first episode down in the Crimsafe Endurance Countdown. Stay tuned here to speedcafe.com as we go through all the teams ahead of the Pirtek Enduro Cup.
We've been robbed a couple of times actually.
So we had this screen installed.
For cheap alternative.
They look identical, so you think you're getting an equivalent product and you're not.
Most Crimsafe lookalikes can pop out because they're only held in with a piece of plastic. But Crimsafe screw clamp locks the mesh and spreads the impact.
Solid and sturdy, and definitely instills a lot of confidence in us.
If you pay for what you get, Crimsafe is definitely the way to go. Better off paying the extra and getting the better product.
Because if it's not Crimsafe, it's not Crimsafe.